Hey everybody, it's Hicks, results coach and national influence and leadership trainer. Very excited to have you here today. We're going to be talking about how to get more money in your pocket immediately. I'm going to show you some strategies that you can use to increase your income as quickly as this week and some immediate steps that you can start taking to make that happen. So let me ask you, have you ever been working kind of tirelessly? You feel like you're putting in a lot of work. Maybe you feel like you're not getting paid what you're worth. Or maybe you just feel like you should be living a lifestyle that's a little bit better than what you're currently living, that your level of skills, your level of expertise should be warranting for you a greater sense of lifestyle. Well, I think that this video is going to give you some really tangible steps for you to take to be able to maximize the value that you're contributing to the world and therefore the amount of value that you're receiving in money. So let's talk about how to make this happen. So the first thing that I really want to put out there for you to consider is that the amount of money that you're making right now may not be an amount that you're pleased with, but it is an amount that you are tolerating. And I have to say that very directly to you because very often we have a tendency to externalize blame when things are not going exactly how we want them to go. It's easy to claim that we're not making as much money as we should be making because our boss is a jerk, or because we have to wait too long in order for our compensation to be reviewed, or whatever the case is, okay? Or because, the company had to make cuts. But the reality is, I don't know of a single company or an employer that has ever truly not compensated an employee what they're worth when they absolutely demonstrably demonstrate what it is, what they are worth, okay? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that your employer may have the same expectations of what you have in terms of what you're worth. But what I am saying is that if you meet your expectations, the expectations of your employer, okay, I'm just going to cut that last little bit. Because the reality is that if you made it an absolute must to make a particular amount of money that's larger than what you're currently making, you'd find a way to do it. You could provide more value to your company. You could move to a different company. We're going to show you a bunch of different strategies available to you right now, but don't get yourself in any sort of mindset that your ability to make money is determined based off of other people, okay? That's not an empowering story for you to be telling yourself. It's just a way for you to kind of sleep better at night, for you to be able to externalize blame and not take personal responsibility. Now, you might be saying, Ty, who are you to say that? You don't know what my situation is. You don't know my life. You don't know my boss. That's fair, but I've worked with thousands of individuals who have similar stories to what you might be telling yourself, and what I can tell you is it's almost always never a question of a lack of resources. It's almost always a question of a lack of resourcefulness. And so what we've got to be able to do is show you the strategies that you need to be able to apply in order to wring out as much value as you could possibly get out of your professional opportunities. So what income are you no longer willing to tolerate, and what is going to be the amount that you are not going to stop until you reach? That's the real question here. I need you to decide on that amount right now. Go ahead and pick a new amount that's going to be your new standard. And it's time for you to make a real decision of whether you're going to buck up and do the things necessary to earn that amount of money or not. So now that you've gotten that dollar amount figured out, let's talk about some strategies on how to make this happen. Now, this first little segment here is really attuned to what we just did, but what I want you to really get acclimated to is, what do you want to be worth? Now, I'm not asking you, what are you worth right now? What I am asking is, what do you want to be worth? What do you want to be paid, let's just say on an annual basis, okay, for your efforts? Not your current efforts, but what is the goal? That's the question, okay? What do you want to be worth? Now, don't just pick some arbitrary amount like $1 million a year or $1 billion or something. Put some real thought into this. Like, what would really make you feel fulfilled? What would be an amount of money that you would want to be worth on an annual basis, okay? Now, the reason I'm having you answer that first is, I'm not necessarily saying that you already have the skills, the knowledge, the connections needed to make that kind of money yet. But the point is for you to figure out where the hell you're going first, and then we can start to chart a path to actually getting you there, okay? But the first thing is to define exactly where it is that you want to go. So that's step number one. Now, step number two is we're going to determine what amount of money can you just ask for immediately. This is something that blows my mind that people forget is an option. But if you believe that there is a discrepancy between your current value, okay, not necessarily the goal value that you want to be worth, but if there is a discrepancy between what your current value is and what you're being paid, why do you not go and ask for what you believe you're worth? Okay, that's something you need to do. You need to enter into that conversation with your employers, because I will tell you, it's not going to just happen to you. I mean, it might. I don't know what kind of cycle your company has of a compensation review process, but who cares? You should be able to feel comfortable going into your employer and justifying a pitch as to why you think you should be paid a particular amount and justifying, what it is that you're worth. And you need to be comfortable asking for that. So the first strategy you need to have the balls to go and do is just go and ask, okay? Just make it happen. Go and ask. Now, if your employer says, no, I'm afraid I don't think that you're worth that much money, man. Now, if your employer comes back to you and says, hey, my friend, I appreciate the deliberateness in this, but I don't think you're worth that much money right now, then at least enter into a conversation with them about what you would have to do in order to make that amount of money that you want to make, okay? Because look, your belief of what you're worth may not match what your employer thinks you are worth, and you need to be prepared to face that reality. And you don't want to argue with the employer. You don't want to make the employer wrong, okay? The better strategy is, how are you going to meet your employer's set of expectations for what it would actually require in order for them to feel comfortable giving you the amount of money you're asking for? And then you can determine if that seems reasonable enough to you, if you want to embark on that path, or maybe this is a time where you need to consider making a different professional jump, to somewhere else. But the whole point here is for you to get clarity on what it would take for you to actually make what you believe you're worth. Okay, so directly ask them. If they don't think that you're worth that amount right now, ask them, okay, what would I have to be doing in order to be worth that amount of money? What specific results would you need to see from me? And once that happens, you then are going to set another meeting for 30 days or whatever the case is from that meeting. And you're going to say, okay, I would like to request a compensation review in 30 days. I'm going to produce these value outcomes for you, and I'd like to have my compensation reviewed at that time. Is that agreeable? Okay, and get them to say yes to that. All right, strategy number 3. What I want you to take a look at is what existing skills do you have that you could leverage in order to add an additional new stream of income to your life with, okay? So for instance, do you know how to computer code? Could you do some freelancing on the side with that, okay? Now again, I'm not necessarily advocating that carte blanche. You're gonna need to figure out, are there specific policies your current employer has against you doing side work or whatever the case is. But guaranteed is the fact that you have skills right now that could be applied in acquiring new income streams from different sources. So I want you to think about this long and hard. What do you know how to do? What perspective do you have that might be valuable to people? What skills do you have, okay? We now live in an economy where if you have a driver's license, you can go out and get a new stream of income like within, I don't know, a couple weeks or something to get pre-approved to be an Uber driver or something like that. And they make pretty good money. So there are all sorts of new ways for you to make money on the side that you could be embracing right now. So in the vein of you taking personal responsibility to increase your income, this is going to be one of those important ways for you to make that happen. What's going to be that new income stream that you can develop that is utilizing one of your existing skills, okay? Think long and hard about that and take action to make that happen. Now, what you also may need to do, remember we talked about that conversation with your employer of, you directly asked for what you wanted and there's a chance they tell you no. And now what you need to do is, like we said, identify what that skill gap is. Now, it may be an output gap, meaning you may have the skills to produce the outputs necessary to get the raise that you want. Okay, so we already addressed that. But you may have tangibly a skill gap, okay? Maybe in order to get to that next level of expertise, you need that higher education degree, or you need to know how to do this or this or this that other people at that income level in your company know how to do. So that now becomes your objective, is to fill that skill gap. That's the easy way for you to be able to increase your income. So again, don't say, well, I'm not getting paid as much as those people. Say, I want to get paid as much as those people. What's different about them? They're not any smarter than I am. They just know this and this that I haven't yet studied. So go figure that out, close the gap, and get the money that you deserve. That's number 4. Number 5, prepare a no-lose scenario for your employer. So if you saw my video on how to get a promotion, then you might have seen this strategy. But what you can do is, if you recognize that you're not going to get more money for doing the current level of responsibilities that you have, what you can do is you can go to your employer and you can propose that you take on new responsibilities in addition to maintaining what you currently have under a trial period. And if at the end of that trial period they are satisfied with your work, they either provide you with a bonus or a bump in salary, and you now take on new responsibilities. So this is the perfect way for you to carve out your own professional future inside of your company. You don't have to wait for a promotion. You don't have to wait to be considered and then be pissed off when somebody else gets it who is more proactive than you. You need to create a living and breathing conversation with your employer about what your future at the company is going to look like. And you need to be the one that's got a vision for what your future would look like at the company to get your employer to buy into it and help you get there. Okay? That's the real way to approach this, with intentionality, not just reactivity to your current circumstances. So what could be a no-lose scenario that you could propose that would get you excited, that would get your employer excited, and that would enable you to provide massive value for the company and eventually end up with an income increase? Prepare one of those and take it to your employer. Now, the reason why this is valuable is it's a trial period, meaning your employer has nothing to lose. And that's what's so key about that. Okay, number 6, and finally, in addition to finding a new stream of income from your current skills, there is a possibility that you can create a parallel stream of income to your current stream of income. And in fact, these are the strongest streams of income, okay? So for example, if you've been in business for a very long time and you've got relationships with a large degree of clients, and a large degree of those clients who buy your stationary products, let's just say, are also interested in, I don't know, they're a part of country clubs, okay, or something for an example, then perhaps you have an ability to market something new to them. Perhaps you have developed a niche, you've developed a set of network connections, and you can identify a pain point or a need amongst that group that your current employer is just not going to address. So you don't want to compete with your employer, of course not. That's an easy way to get fired. But what I'm talking about is you utilizing your current resources to create a parallel flow of income where you can meet the needs of your customers in 2 unique ways so that you become even that much more indispensable to them. Now, it doesn't just have to mean you utilizing clients that you currently have for one business for another, although it could mean that. But for instance, maybe you're a real estate agent and now you want to become a real estate investor, okay? Because you have access to, the public market of homes. You've got training, you know how to assess a property, you know the markets, you know what they go for. So maybe now it makes sense for you to become an investor. That would make for a very strong parallel flow of income, for example. Okay, so you're gonna have to figure out what it is for you that makes the most sense, but guaranteed there is a way for you to do this with whatever flow of income it is that you have right now. Okay, so I hope you found this valuable. We're going to be continuing to talk about money in our next video. I'm going to be sharing with you 4 steps that are going to enable you to start getting control of your finances and to get on a path to financial freedom. So that's going to be a very exciting video. Don't miss out on that. But for now, go out there and take action to increase your income. Get clear on what you want, go ask for what you want, and take personal responsibility. Take action to increase your flows of income. Maybe not all 6 of these strategies will work for you, but guaranteed that several of them absolutely will, and it's on you to raise the standard, raise the bar, and raise your income. So go out there, get some money, and make a contribution to the world. Make what you're worth. I'll see you again soon. Take care.